Sichichusma Vajangava Payusodaspatir Muda Kamam Vavashapayanya Savakama Dugamahi Sichichusma Vajangava Payusodaspatir Muda Kamam Vavashapayanya Savakama Dugamahi Sichichusma Vajangava Payasudaspatir Muda Vatvavat Kamam everything needed Vavasa was showered Payanyaha rains Sarva everything Kama necessities Duha producer Mahi the land Sisichusma moisten Vajan pastering grounds Gava the cow Payasa so the screen dog, yeah. Payasa Udaspatihi due to swollen milk bags Muda because of a joyful attitude. Translation purport by A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Srila Prabhupada. During the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthira, the clouds showered all the water what people needed, and the earth produced all the necessities of man in profusion. Due to its fatty milk bag and cheerful attitude, the cow used to moisten the grazing ground with milk. Purport. The basic principle of economic development is centered on land and cows. The necessities of human society are food grains, fruits, milks, minerals, clothing, wood, etc. One requires all these items to fulfill the material needs of the body. Certainly, one does not require flesh and fish or iron tools and machinery. During the regime of Maharaj Yudhishthira, all the world there were regulated rainfalls. There were regulated rainfalls. Rainfalls are not in control of the human being. The heavenly king Indradev is the controller of rains, and he is the servant of the Lord. When the Lord is obeyed by the king and the people under the king's administration, there are regulated rains from the horizon, and these rains are the cause of all varieties of production on the land. Not only do regulated rains help ample production of grains and fruits, but when they combine with astronomical influences, there is ample production of valuable stones and pearls. Grains and vegetables can sumptuously feed a man and animals and a fatty cow delivers enough milk to supply a man sumptuously with vigor and vitality. If there is enough milk, enough grain, enough fruit, enough cotton, enough silk, enough jewels, then why do people need economic development in the shape of tools and machines? Can tools and machines supply vigor and vitality to man and animals? Can machinery produce grain, fruit, and milk, or jewels and silk? Are jewels and silk, along with varieties of foodstuffs prepared with ghee, grain, milk, and fruits, not sufficient for man's pure, luxurious, and healthy life? Then what is the need of an artificial luxurious life of cinemas, cars, radio, flesh, and hotels? Has this civilization produced anything more than the doggish mentality of quarreling individually and nationally? Has this civilization enhanced the cause of equality and fraternity by sending thousands of men into a hellish factory and the war fields at the whims of a particular man? It is said here that the cows used to moisten the pasturing land with milk because their milk bags were fatty and the animals were joyful. Do they not require, therefore, proper protection for joyful life by being fed with a sufficient quantity of grass in the field? Why should man kill cows for their selfish purposes? Why should man not be satisfied with grains, fruits, and milk, which combined together can produce hundreds and thousands of palatable dishes? Why are there slaughterhouses all over the world to kill innocent animals? Maharaj Pariksit, grandson of Maharaj Yudhishthir, while touring his past kingdom, saw a black man attempting to kill a cow. The king at once arrested the butcher and chastised him sufficiently. Should not the king or executive head protect the lives of the poor animals who are unable to defend themselves? Is this humanity? Are not the animals of a country citizens also? Then why are they allowed to be butchered in organized slaughterhouses? Are these signs of equality, fraternity, and non-violence? Therefore, in contrast with the modern advanced civilized form of government, an autocracy like Maharaj Yudhishthir is by far superior to a so-called democracy in which animals are killed and a man less than an animal is allowed to cast votes for another less than animal man. We are all creatures of material nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the Lord himself is the seed-giving father, and material nature is the mother of all living beings in all shapes. Thus, mother material nature has enough foodstuff both for animals and for man. By the grace of the Father Almighty, Sri Krishna, the human being is the elder brother of all other living entities, is endowed with intelligence more powerful than that of animals for realizing the course of nature and the indications of the Almighty Father. Human civilization should depend on the production of material nature without artificially attempting economic development to turn the world into a chaos of artificial greed and love of power only for the purpose of artificial luxuries and sense gratification. This is but the life of those cows. Read the verse again. Kamam vavaksha paryanya sarvakama duhamahi sisitshusma vajan kava payasodas vatil muda. During the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthir, the clouds showered all the water but that people needed, and the earth produced all necessities of man in profusion. Due to its fatty milkbag and cheerful attitude, the cow used to moisten the grazing grounds with milk. Omagana Timanasyan Sexual Militamina Tasmai Si Guravena. Shitchitaya Manokistam Stapitam Yena Putalisvam Rapakadamayam Tadati Svapalantika. Vandiham Shio Shiyuda Patkamalam Shio Vaishnavam Shio Pamsarajatam Saganaragnatam Vitam Tam Sativan Satvaitam Savadutam Bhajanasaitam Si Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saganalita Shivishakam Vitam Sham. He Krishna Karuna Sinu Dinabandha Chatpate Gopesha Gopka Kanta Radhakanta Namastate Tapta Kanchna Gaura Hirade Vrindavaneshwar Vishavaneshwar Devi Pranamama Haripriya Vankha Kalpta Visha Kripasan Vevisha Patnam Pavanabhyo Vaishnabhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radha Shivasati Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale. Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namani. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini. Nirvishesha Srinyavadi Paskachai Desartani. Srila Prabhupada Ki. So these are the laws of nature. There is a relationship between man and nature that this is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. I think it is the third chapter. In the fourth chapter, I think. Yeah. There's so many sacrifices are described in the fourth chapter. But it is certain in the fourth chapter that, yeah, if one satisfies the demigods and the Supreme Lord, then the demigods will supply all the necessities of life for the human beings. So there is, and this is the Vedic knowledge, that this principle is called in the Vedas Rita. There is a cooperation between man and nature, that if one performs sacrifice, then nature will respond. If one does not perform sacrifice, then there will be problems. And we see that today, that so those in the Vedic times, they knew how to get what they desired. By doing the right sacrifice, it would be provided. But that knowledge today is only being known by the Brahmins, which are very rare. These perfect Brahmins are not there in this age. But devotees are aware of that. If we perform jhaya, then not nature will respond. But in the 70s, I don't know his name, but it was a Swami, a disciple of Prabhupada. And in America somewhere, he was invited to speak at, it was a radio broadcast. It was quite far reaching. And he was interviewed and they asked him, "You are a Swami. Can you make it rain?" Because already two months there was no rain. And the devotee said, "Yes, but we need everyone's cooperation." That I will give a mantra which will it make rain, but all those who are listening at the radio must help and repeat this mantra. And then, there were many listeners, and it chanted Hare Krishna, and all these people were chanting Hare Krishna. That and the next day it started to rain. Prabhupada also, he was in India, certain places, and there was a drought, and they asked him, is there something what we can do? And Prabhupada said, yes, get kirtan. And they did kirtan in the streets, and a few days later it started to rain. That we have seen that many times. And many times went on Ratha Yatra, and the weather forecast says it's cloudy. But then Lord Jagannath comes up the cart, and suddenly the sun shines. Sun shines until the end of the parade, and at the end of the parade, rain again. That, of course, these are extraordinary reciprocations, but it is a fact that nature responds on if we do sacrifice, if we follow dharma, if we are pious. Nature will respond. That and you see during the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthira, all the necessities of life were provided. In these times, that was expectation of the people, that the king was not only responsible for governing, but also for supplying of rain and that's and everything what needed, what the earth need to produce. And we see Prithu Maharaj. Prithu Maharaj, because the previous king, King Vena, he was going to stop all religious principles and stop the Brahmins, everything. And by that, the earth became disturbed and didn't produce any food anymore. And there was no rain. and Prithu Maharaj became angry with the earth. Anyway, but the earth gradually started again to produce. Sometimes, this was a devotee speaking to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. He said, sometimes we see simple people and they have a lot of wealth and they seem to be happy and so on. So how is that? That Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj said, yes, they have their time to get the reactions of their pious activities, but soon it will be finished. It will be finished. So a devotee, we will see that if the devotee is surrendered to Krishna, Ananya Shita Satam, this is 925. That is verse where Krishna says this. No, it's not. It's 725. Ananya, yeah, 922. Ananya Sintiandamam Yechna Payapasite Samnitya Vyuktyam Yoga Seman Vahamyam. One who worships me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, for them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. Of course, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada said, Krishna provides everything what's needed for the cultivation of Krishna consciousness. And Krishna protects their Krishna consciousness. But also on the material level, Krishna provides everything what the devotees need. The people came to Prabhupada, they were envious and they said, you are not working and you live in this great palace and you get all the food you need. How is that you are not working? No, and Prabhupada said, yes, Krishna provides that. So that is an aspect also to learn from Maharaj Yudhishthir. Maharaj Yudhishthir followed Dharma very strictly and followed the instructions of the Brahmins. That is what Bhishmadev said to him. As long as you are following the principles of Dharma and the instructions of the Brahmins, then you will always be protected by these religious principles. That Krishna provides and everything what is needed if we stick to the principles of Krishna consciousness. We see many times devotees have still certain material desires. But then from the moment the devotee decides, I give it up, I don't want it anymore, Krishna gives it. That's interesting. That happens many times, I've seen. We give it up and then Krishna gives it. And that because we give it up because we surrender to him. That like Bali Maharaj, he gave everything up. He surrendered everything. He lost everything, but he gained everything afterwards. So that is the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthir. But of course, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada, he criticizes quite heavily the modern society. And if you read his criticism, that it's just so applicable today that sending thousands of men to the war fields by the whims of one man. Can you imagine? And that's happening today. It's but this will not. This kind of wars can only result in more misery. But in the Vedic time, even this principle of Rita, the principle of Rita is how to control material nature, how to let material nature respond. And that's to sacrifice. And they knew it. If the demons knew that principles, the Ravan, before going to the battle, his son was doing sacrifices in the mountains secretly with Rakshasa Brahmins. They were reciting the Vedic hymns and they were doing sacrifice to get power. And Lakshman knew this. And he went to stop their sacrifices. And that was a big fight. But they knew it, that when Ravan went to the battlefield, the Brahmins followed, chanting the Vedic hymns. Interesting. And they are demons. But they followed the Vedic culture. They knew that how to make nature respond, how to get power. Hiranyakashipu did these austerities to get power. And by austerities, you get mystic powers that we say that. So they knew how things were working. But today, they are sacrificing animals for their sense gratification. But this will lead in the future to scarcity. And we see that today. It becomes difficult to get pure air. Very difficult. Especially in India, in Delhi, the air pollution is 500 times above the allowed pollution in Belgium, 500 times. Then I spoke with a devotee who Mahendra Prabhu from Bulgaria, senior devotee. He went to Delhi and he was invited to give a lecture, and during the lecture he could not breathe anymore. He said, "What's happening?" I said, "Yes, that's the pollution. What can we do?" Difficult to get pure air. Difficult to get pure food. The food looks nice, but no, it's not nutritious anymore. No vitamins. It looks nice. It's good for sense gratification, but it doesn't feed your body. So pure food, very difficult to get. So the basic necessities of life, they are polluting. But yes, that exploiting the earth. Of course, the demigods, their time measure is different. It takes some time before they react, but they react. Kali Yuga is progressing, and pure food is very difficult to get today. Pure air, it's all polluted. Of course, a devotee, he wants to live simple and high thinking. That he is happy with the necessities of life. But that principle is also explained in Shri Upanishad. There, in the second verse of Shri Upanishad. And there the Isavasya principle is explained. Isavasya idam sarvam sarat kinsi sarat samsarat tena syaktena bunchita mahita kasya siddhanam. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. Controlled by the Lord. So that the devotees know everything is under control of the Lord. And the purport Srila Prabhupada writes, we don't control the rain. They try to control, but they are not successful. that they would like to control it in Los Angeles now, but no rain is coming. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota, and one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. So the principle is here. Everything belongs to Krishna, not to us. But we are also part of Krishna, a very small part. So we are a very small part. We have also right to a very small part of what exists, what's available for us. And that's called our quota. And by nature, we have our quota, and our quota is different. The quota of Bhima, and it's different from the quota of Arjun and the other Pandavas. When Kunti was cooking, then after offering, half would go to Bhima, and the rest she would divide for the Pandavas, Draupadi, and herself. That was, yes, that's. So we have all a different quota, but the quota is what we need. Krishna provides for all living entities what they need. Everything is there. So Prabhupada said scarcity in an harmonious society is not there. There's no scarcity of food and so on. But the humans artificially create that scarcity. And Prabhupada explains how that. He explains it in the second verse of Nectar of Instruction, which we discussed. There he writes, yes, a bag of grains falls from a cart and is abundant. So then a bird will come and take some seeds, some grains, and go. But the human being will come and said, oh, let's take the whole bag in storage for later. And by that, the scarcity is created. That the principles of greed, like the billionaires, they want more and more and more. But by that, they are taking the quota of others. And that has reactions later. So there is a balance in nature. And if with our greed we destroy, we break that balance, then there will be scarcity. But naturally, there is food for everyone. That Krishna maintains even the elephants. They can eat much more than we. So, because that was explained in the previous verse, Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate. So the personality of God is perfect and complete, and because he's completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as the phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Everything is there to maintain the living entities. So how does that relate to our lives? Don't over-endeavor for things. Just what you need, that's okay. But what if you don't? But beyond that, a devotee should not endeavor for anything in this world. It's all temporary. We don't need a very luxurious car. If it's with a simple car, we can do it. So we don't need many possessions. We need only one house or one apartment to live in. Keep it simple and focus on the real business, cultivating Krishna consciousness. So the devotee knows there is a control behind material nature. This control is done by the super soul. And material nature reciprocates by jahya. Shaknarta karmanoyatra lokayam karmabandhana. Do everything as sacrifice. Then, if you do everything as sacrifice for Krishna, then material nature will not give you karmic reactions. So that's the way, not to be entangled in material nature. Do it for the Supreme Lord. But of course, if you do it just to please the demigods and you forget the Supreme Lord, you still become entangled. Because sometimes we see the residents of Vrindavan, it looks like they are worshipping the demigods. But they worship the demigods, but they see the demigods as intermediates. Be afraid to the demigods afraid to Krishna. They know. So it's with the intention to use the demigods to offer to Krishna. And that is knowledge. That people outside may not be able to understand it. They think this resident of Vrindavan, they are like all the other demigods worshippers, but they are quite different. Because Krishna is the final purpose. Prabhupada, there is no need for artificial luxuries like cinemas, cars, radio, flesh, and hotels. Therefore, materialistic people do not like our movement. Because if everyone becomes Krishna conscious, all these things will disappear. All their sinful business. Has this civilization produced any more than a doggish mentality of quarreling individually and nationally? Has this civilization enhanced the cause of equality, fraternity, by sending thousands of men into hellish factories and the war fields at the whims of a particular man? So that's going on. That is just the definition of our modern civilization. Therefore, when Gandhi went to London, someone asked him, what do you think of the English civilization? Gandhi said, it's a good idea. So he was not thinking it was civilized. Because when he went there, he had difficulty to just remain vegetarian. That you can imagine that. Yes. So the cows used to moisten the pasturing ground land with milk, and certainly that was the case when with the cows of Nanda Maharaj. All these cows were so happy, and they gave abundance milk because they felt the love. I was in Bulgaria last year, not the year before, at a farm. Aheloi, that's at the Black Sea there. And they have 16 cows. And I went with Nitai Chandra. He's the Gopa, he takes care of the cows. and he was milking the cow. First, you have to bind the calf because, and then he's milking the cow. But you could see the cow was happy that and then at the end the calf came to drink and but animals are happy when they are nicely careful the cows. And when one takes nicely care of the cows, Krishna is pleased. That's a very important principle, always taking care of the cows. And Krishna is pleased. Anyway, these were a few points I could make. Any comment or question?
Really like these topics from Srila Prabhupada talks about, like the emphasis of simple living by thinking. My question, I don't mean to be rude or offensive, but you mentioned that Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj, when he was asked about why simple people, they're enjoying a lot of wealth, but he said that eventually it will go. I see I've stayed in many different farm communities around the US only in ISKCON, and I see even places like Dallas, they had a nice garden for a few years, and then now after a few years it's overgrown, no one's tending to it anymore. I see these things happen a lot of places in ISKCON farms, so I don't understand because it seems that even it's not lasting for devotees who are trying to serve the Lord or never even starting. It's hard to find people in ISKCON that really want to live simple life. In the US only, I don't know other places, but that's my experience. I don't understand.
Yeah, that is. I've seen that also. In Radhadesh we have cows and a lot of land, but nobody wants to work on the land. It's too heavy. They rather go to the shop and buy something. But we have permaculture. We have there someone who is very inspired to develop this permaculture. Permaculture is a culture in which you have certain combination of vegetables you make, and then you they support each other and protect each other, these plants. It's a whole art of doing it, and it's inspiring many people who come to help, and that's very nice. And also in the cow, we have a new gojal, just new built, and there's also a devotee who is very inspired and engages the devotees to come to see the calves and the cows at certain times. But this is really a necessity. We have to produce our own food because soon there will be not much. All the food is poisonous. And I see that to get just the right vitamins and what you need, that I have to take so many food supplements. It's not in the food anymore. That it's different the food than 50 years ago. It's different and it's going backwards. So we have to produce our own food. It's a great necessity. That there are some projects in India who are doing well. Also in Europe, a few, but it remains too limited. But it is in the modern culture. In the modern culture, that it's all very easy. You go to the shop, and we are used to these things. That you ask in school, where does the milk come? The milk comes from the shop. They don't make the connection with the cow anymore, because they love cows to eat them. Otherwise, that's and it's such a downtrodden culture that but it's laziness and not be aware of our real needs. If we learn to live simple, Prabhupada said, with some land and a cow, you can live very simple. But here in America it's very difficult. That also in Europe you have to pay taxes, this and that, and becomes very complicated, the whole thing, so many permissions, and rules which are not helping. I remember I was in Almviksgard. Is a farm in Sweden, and one of the cows was sick, and the law says if cows are very sick and it's terminal, you have to kill them. So they came to kill them, and the devotees were surrounding the cows, and they could not touch the cow, but it's demoniac. That's so our environment does not make it easy, but if we are serious in spiritual life, we must be willing to live simple. But most devotees do not want that. They have their job, they have all these things, and things, it becomes easy, but it's not good for their health. It's a big topic. It's also our Ministry of Cow Protection and Agriculture. They must promote it. And there was also a GBC resolution that all preachers should give attention to this point, to sensibilize the devotees and to encourage them to do that.
Especially with City, we want to feed so many people, so we focus, I think, a little bit more on quantity rather than quality, because I lived at a yoga ashram, and we grew our own food, and we had all the fruits, and we would prepare like half of what we prepare in ISKCON, but it would feed everyone. Everyone would be full because it was we home grew everything, and we didn't have to make nearly as much because there was so much nutrients in the food.
Yeah, but that is the principle. If we want to serve Krishna reciprocates. He will give what we need. If we serve him in that way, Krishna will help. He will reciprocate. So that's natural. But we have started to do it. Krishna will help. He will help. But we must want it. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. Yeah. Thank you. Good. Thank you very much. I was very happy to be with you, and I look forward, if Krishna willing, to see you again in summer. But we continue with our classes, Nectar of Instruction, and the class. That maybe you can speak with Akhilesh Prabhu and see if I can give the morning class here, maybe on Wednesday or Thursday. And also on Wednesday evening, the Nectar of Instruction class. I don't know what he has planned, but because I don't have my planning, but you can speak with him and let me know, and then we continue that. So we continue having contact to the weekly class. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Jai Srila Prabhupada ki.